Morning, everybody. I'm Carmen. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is October 27th, 2016. So I've got about 7.5 years under my belt. Working on it. A little tired this morning. Went huckleberry picking yesterday, so it's a late day. So I want to start by honoring the memory of my dear friend and former partner, Rasim B, who we lost to cancer about a month ago. He preceded me into sobriety, and he was definitely an inspiration to me into finding my way into this program. So just like to dedicate this story to him today. I know some of you knew him. So I grew up here in Missoula. I was born here, same hospital as both my parents and my sister, St. Pat's, the old building before they imploded it. And grew up west of town on Mullen Road. My parents were both working class. My dad was a paper mill worker, and my mom was a kitchen manager in a retirement home. So definitely blue collar. We were sitting okay until we decided to take in my two cousins, and then we were a little strapped. I went from two kids to 4 kids. It made it a little more challenging. Overall, pretty supportive family. There was some dysfunction, like most families, stress. My mom yelled a lot when she was stressed out. Neither of my parents are alcoholic. I've seen each of them drunk once, and my mom was sick for about 5 days after that. So, that didn't happen very often. And I wanted to say 40 years is impressive. It's very impressive, Jim. And so, but both my grandfathers were alcoholics. My paternal grandfather became sober, I don't think through AA, before I really knew who he was. But my paternal grandfather drank until he was put into a care facility after getting all smashed up by a car when he was drunk. And so, we had the typical sample one of my parents' drinks, a little bit of wine at dinner on a holiday, that kind of thing. I had my first buzz on when I was 16. My parents were in Europe, and we had a babysitter, and my sister had some friends over, and they brought over a few beers and some of those little airplane shots. And I think there were 5 of us and 6 drinks, and we got buzzed. So, but I really liked that buzz. I really liked it. It was fun. I drank. The only time I drank in high school was at prom. I still cannot handle peach flavored anything because my sister and I mixed peach schnapps or peach coolers with champagne. Not a good combination. And my dad did talk to me that day after following the trail of vomit back to my room or the next morning about the dangers of drinking. And so I swore it off for the rest of high school. But like the minute I graduated high school, started hanging out with kids from another school, and we drank like fish. And I was the one that would drink till I puke. And my friends said whenever they saw me go like this, they would get out of my way. Because I was gonna blow. Um, so we drank Coors Light. So we had to drink a lot of them to get that sick. And so I went to college. My first 2 years, I lived on a dry campus, required to live in the dorms. We snuck in beers. I remember one time I had a denim jacket on, and I had bottles of beer up my sleeve. And I walked in, and the RA wanted to give me a hug, and I'm like, no, sorry, not feeling well. So we drank a lot on the weekends. We didn't drink during the weeks, but we did definitely drink on the weekends. I'd be taking care of everybody as they were getting sick, and then I'd get sick after that. And definitely partied up, went to the kegs and all that stuff, off campus, while I was in college. And as a result, my grades weren't great. Plus, I was a biology major, and organic chemistry kicked my butt a couple of times. So I didn't have great grades. 3.1 was okay, but not great. And then by the time I moved off campus and turned 21, I hardly drank. And my grades improved. Because my first 2 years I didn't even have a 3 point. So got through college, did a stint of volunteer work in England, drank quite a bit there. I had an alcoholic boyfriend there. And then came back and then joined the Peace Corps and some pretty severe binge drinking in the Peace Corps. I got really sick on a bus one time, drinking local gin, and like spilled my bag, lost a really expensive pair of sunglasses, my address book, things like that. Never recovered them. But my village didn't have anything in it. I was in Ghana. And so I did not drink in my village, but when I got together with other Peace Corps volunteers, we partied pretty hard. And then after Peace Corps, I did a wilderness program as a teacher or an instructor in a wilderness program. And when we were off trail, we would party really hard. Then I got to grad school, didn't drink through grad school, got a 4 point. Got a master's in education, became a teacher. And so my drinking really took off after I started teaching. It progressed to daily drinking, progressed to 4 beers at the brewery at 3:40 when I could leave work. So I'd be at the brewery by 4, have my 4 beers at the brewery and go home and have another 4 in the tub. And that was a daily thing. On the weekends, I'd buy a case or 2 cases. I'd drink 2 cases a week on my own. And I would drink like most of a case on a weekend at my sister's house and pass out on her couch when I was supposed to be watching movies with my niece. And so it was, it got pretty bad. As a result of my drinking, I developed psychosis. I have schizoaffective disorder. And wound up that actually developed while I tried to quit drinking on my own and couldn't sleep for 6 months, and I was chaperoning a group of students to Costa Rica for a sea turtle study, and on the airplane developed psychosis as the only teacher chaperoning students. So that was pretty scary. Fortunately, it was a half group of students, so we were joining with another group from another state, and they had 2 teachers, so they were able to take care of my students. I was in Costa Rican psychiatric hospital. Wouldn't recommend that. Apparently Costa Rica has great medical care, but not their psychiatric facilities. It was hot. The food was terrible. I don't speak Spanish very well, and the doctors wanted me to speak Spanish to understand what was going on. They didn't want me to speak English. And like all my stuff was getting stolen. It was, and I didn't really know what was going on. So somebody, I think Ecology Project International, got a hold of my family and told them what was going on. And my cousin happened to was the only one with a passport, and money. So she flew down and rescued me because they weren't going to release me. So I spent about 5 days down there. And then of course my name was in the papers. It was the most famous person in the MCPS district. There was a lot of concern about chaperoning students. It was pretty awful. So I came back here and got on medication. When I was down there, they just gave me Valium. But they got me on medication and I was doing fine for a while. And then my doctor decided I was doing well, my psychiatrist, and she took me off my medication. So I wound up in Warm Springs. Came home, wasn't quite clear yet, and was staying at my sister's house. She had just had a hysterectomy, and I thought we were going to be firebombed. So I tried to shove her in the closet to protect her. Turns out I almost killed her. She bled out. First time I told this story, my niece was here. She was 7, and she ran from the room crying. My sponsor at the time helped her out. So then I wound up in Providence for a couple of weeks. I was ready to be released, but my mom was taking care of my sister, couldn't take care of me. So as a result of that, I mean, it wasn't totally my fault. There was some issue with the equipment, the robot for the surgery. So, but I exacerbated it. So now my sister has a speech disorder, and it's pretty bad. She has a brain injury, TBI. So went back to drinking, even though I wasn't supposed to drink on my medications. It got worse. That's when I got up to the 8 beers a day, case on the weekends. And I always lied about how much I drank. I say I drink 3 to 5 drinks a week. I never admitted to smoking to many of my doctors, smoking cigarettes. I didn't use other drugs. I smoked a little bit of pot, but it didn't sit well with me, so that was it. So one day I went to see my doctor, lied, my psychiatrist. I was driving home. I was listening to KUFM, NPR station, and they were reading a poem by Richard Hugo, who's a Montana author and was quite the drunk. And it was about getting drunk in Phillipsburg and Butte, which I've done a lot of. And it was divine intervention. And I'm not a religious person. I don't consider myself a Christian. But it was divine intervention. It was talking to me. So I went home, called my doctor. She answered after hours, which is amazing. And I told her, I've been lying to you. I have a problem. I need help. And so she asked me if I could find somebody to get me to a meeting. The woman that lived across the alley from me was in the program. She's a friend of mine. We were a former coworker, so I talked to her. And the doctor asked who could. She said, "You can't quit cold turkey. So who's gonna buy your beer for you?" And I said, "My mom will do." And so I got my mom to agree to step me down 1 beer a day, and I got her to agree to buy my cigarettes too, so I wouldn't go to the gas station. She didn't like that part, but she did it. And so I stepped down over a week. My first meeting was this meeting. My friend Carolyn brought me, and the speaker that day hadn't shown up, so they had a last minute speaker. It was Dave Lochner, and his story was truly inspiring, and he was funny. And after the meeting, Carolyn introduced me to Dave, and he gave me a hug and said, "So happy you're here. You're in the right place. And you know what? You're in the right place today. I'm glad you're here." And so I was standing outside smoking with everybody with my big book, hiding because here we are, this busy intersection in Missoula. I'm like hiding my big book, going, "I don't want anybody to see me with this big Alcoholics Anonymous." So I got into the program. I didn't get a coin right away because I was still drinking, stepping down. Came to the Tuesday night meeting here and met my first sponsor there. Her name was Misty, and she invited me to another meeting the next night, and that's the night I asked her to be my sponsor. I was still drinking, and I got a sponsor. And I worked with her for about 5 years. She was amazing. She got me through my steps about 3 times. Took 6 months into sobriety. My niece was removed from my sister's care, and she was placed with me. If I hadn't been sober, I wouldn't have been able to take care of her. And so I was able to care for my niece, and then my sponsor helped out a lot. She took care of her when I had to work, helped, just helped me parent her. It was great. Um, so I continued to struggle with um, bouts of my psychosis. I was teaching as I was a high school science teacher. I did that for 15 years. And the stress of teaching is a very stressful job. That's what led me into the drinking. And so I would continue to teach, and then I would wind up with psychosis, which would then create anxiety. So I take a quarter to a semester off and realize that it wasn't fair to the students to have them with the long-term sub that long. So um, I wound up getting a disability retirement, but it's not enough to live on. So I've been floating from job to job and trying to do school and other things ever since then, since I retired in 2017. So it's been very challenging. I, I'm doing my best to stay afloat, to earn enough money. I wound up selling my house during the pandemic because I got scammed. So then I lived with my parents for 2 years, almost 3 years. That was really challenging. Um, and the cool thing is I haven't had a drink over it, you know? My dad had a stroke and he's now in full-time care. He's being cared for at my sister's house, and I'm caring for him every morning. Um, and all these things, my niece being removed, me losing, having to retire, my dad having stroke, me losing jobs, multiple jobs for various reasons. I haven't had a drink over it. And that's really what's important to me. So yeah, I've been like, I have a new sponsor now, Francine, and I'm working on my fourth step, although I've been kind of stalled out lately because I've been really busy. And I really come to love AA. I don't go to a lot of meetings. I go to Kismith. I'm not a religious person, and so I don't spend a lot of time with the big book, although I do want to read a little bit from the Keys of the Kingdom today. But I have found other literature. It's not sanctioned, but it is inspiring to me. For anybody who's interested in other types of literature, there's uh, an Agnostic's Daily Reflections that I like to use. It's called Agnostic Musings for 12-Step Light. What was it? Name of it. I can't think of it right now either. My cover's chewed off by my dog, so I don't know what the title is anymore. But it's really inspirational, and there's quite a few alternative 12-step books for people who are not religious that term God. And so those have helped me with my sobriety. I'm working the 12 steps out of the traditional big book right now. But I have those to supplement and to find inspiration. And so if you are finding yourself not liking the big book for whatever reason, because you're agnostic or other things about it, there are other resources out there. And so if you're, I know they're not conference approved, but they do help as a supplement. So that's what I've been using. I did start an agnostics meeting, but there was not much attendance, and then COVID starts down. So we did have quite a few people that would come periodically, but then COVID shut us down and we didn't have enough people to pay for Zoom. So in sobriety, I've become more aware of who I am, I far more I have a lot more understanding what my triggers are, although I still let my sister trigger me. Haven't gotten past that one yet. That's going to take a long time. We've always had a pretty combustible relationship. But I really now understand what my unhealthy character traits are. Um, I um I tend to be a procrastinator. I can be pretty lazy. I mean, I can also do a lot of stuff, but I can be pretty lazy. Um, I have difficulty making decisions. Um, and it winds up letting me realize that I can work with those unhealthy character traits rather than have to get rid of them. Find a way to work through them and work with them. Um, I um I found a lot of fellowship in the program. There's a group of us. My home group is Kismith, the Monday LGBT and Friends group, and we have one of our members has a fire pit, so we have frequent potlucks and campfire meetings, and it's just great fellowship. We'll do them on a Friday or Saturday, birthday parties, things like that. And like I've gotten so much help from people in the program or their spouses or people they know. Uh, my mom's dishwasher went out and needed to have a new outlet put in for it. And husband of one of the program members took care of that for her. Like people have been willing to provide meals when my dad went and went had his stroke, um help with yard work, things like that. It's been really impressive. I still have some friends outside the program, but I don't see them very often. um which is it's kind of sad, but I have these shared history with so many people in the program that is so important, to get to know people on a truly intimate level that you don't tend to do with normies, you know, which has been really profound for me. I really appreciate it. Um, Sorry, I didn't really write out a plan for this, so it's a little shorter than I thought it would be. So, but I'm going to read from the Keys of the Kingdom, so it'll help. Um, I was going to say something else. Um, life is still challenging, for sure. Not having a job, I was terminated from my job at Community Medical Center in May. I did call my sponsor and say I wanted a beer, and she said, "No, you don't." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, I don't." And I wanted to go buy a bottle of non-alcoholic wine and drink it. I'm like, "No, that's drinking alcoholically, even if it is non-alcoholic wine." So I just smoked a lot of cigarettes. Gotta do something. Um, and I've been applying and interviewing and applying and interviewing. I've interviewed for so many jobs sure I was gonna get. It seemed like I was perfect candidate, and I have not gotten a job. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe they're calling my former employer. They terminated me because I was sick too much. I was taking a medication and I was having side effects, and so I exceeded the attendance limit. Um, so I've been right now I'm working as a caregiver in Stevensville, and I'm getting paid pretty decent for it. It's only 6 hours a week though, and paid a little bit for my dad's care. So I was scraping by, just cashed out my retirement so that I could pay my car payment, my phone bill. Um, and it's been really hard. So I've decided that I am going to go back to school and finish. I started an associate's in medical assisting about 4 years ago, and ran out of the ability to get financial aid because I had too many student loans. So I'm finding a way to finance that, and I'm going to go back and finish the medical assisting degree. So once a teacher, always a lifelong learner. And hopefully there's so many positions open for medical assisting. I'm hoping that I can get into that and get through that, or become employed. Um, but I'm just really grateful that I found this program. I'm grateful that Rasim suggested that it might be something that would be helpful for me. At the time, I didn't hear it. I wasn't ready, but it did sink in a little bit, the back of my head. He suggested it when I was having one of my early, I think it was right after I had that psychosis event. And I think he was definitely an inspiration for me, and I will always treasure that and that reaching out. I was 12 stepped. I'm in a Balinese instrumental group called Gamelan. And one day I was there at the beginning of a psychotic event and we were rehearsing for a performance. And I was just feeling really confused. And I was just like, what's going on? I said, I'm not even drunk right now. And I said it out loud. And I was 12 stepped by a member of AA who was a member of the group and another woman. And she is willing to take away all my beer, and I didn't take it. I didn't let her to take it. Then later when I came into the program, I found her like, made finally. So, there's been a few people that were in my past that did 12 step me and did encourage me to find my way here. I just wasn't ready yet. I needed that to be ready on my own, and then I did finally find my way here. And that's how it's been with friends that I have, that I've suggested that if they're interested in sobriety, I'd be willing to help them or to give them some ideas. I stayed in touch with a lot of my students from Arizona. I taught down there for 3 years, and Native American students. And I stayed in touch with a lot of them on Facebook, and many of them struggled with addiction. And we've lost 3 of them now to alcohol or drugs in their early 30s. And it's just so sad. So sad. And they were just, and it's just so hard to see that. And I know one of them had actually become sober and clean. And I don't know if she actually died because of the addiction, if she had an OD or if it was something else. But OD'd. And it's just heartbreaking. This is such an insidious disease. And I know that if I were to go back out, I would probably never make it back. I was done when I came in. I haven't gone out. But I just, that trajectory of increase, your disease just keeps going up, even though you're not drinking. And so when you go back out, it's just that much higher, that much more addiction. And so, there are times when it crosses my mind that a beer would be really nice. And then I'm like, it's not just going to be one beer. And it'd probably kill me. And, I think about all the people I would disappoint. Myself, my friends, my sponsor, my family, and it's just not worth it. My life isn't perfect now, but it really is a lot better. I can survive on a heck of a lot less money. When I was a teacher, I was making a lot of money and I never had any money because I was drinking it all. And now I can get by on a heck of a lot less money because I'm not drinking all the time. And it's been, I really do feel like the promises that sometimes slowly part, definitely slowly, on some of those, especially the one about financial insecurity that's still hanging around. But so many of the other promises are coming true. I do know how to, things that used to baffle me don't baffle me so much anymore. I don't have the struggles that I did have with, I'm doing a lot better with like making decisions, relationships with people, my sister aside, although we had a really great night the other night, so it's good. It's just things are really a lot better. And I'm really grateful for my sobriety. And I'm really grateful for all the people that I've met in the program, and grateful that you're all here today because it's really important that we all share our stories with each other, you know? Because we all have some, I hope that you're, taking something away from this today, that you're hearing something that you need to hear. Because that's really what it's about, is that shared experience and that community is such an important part of AA. And there's certainly things that I don't love about AA. But I like the slogan, take what you like and leave the rest. That works. Some things don't work for me, and that's fine. And that's the lovely thing about this program is that you make it your own. And you meet people you would never meet otherwise. People that are different ages, different likes and dislikes. And there's just people that I would never know that I've met in the program. And it's great. When I first got sober, I called my principal and told her that I was getting sober and needed a couple days off, and she admitted that she was in the program. Just like I don't tell many people that. That was pretty cool to have that support from the administrator. So I want to read a little bit from the Keys to the Kingdom, and I might modify a couple words. AA is not a plan for recovery that can be finished and done with. It is a way of life, and the challenge contained in its principles is great enough to keep any human being striving for as long as they live. We cannot outgrow this plan. As arrested alcoholics, we must have a program for living that allows for limitless expansion. Keeping one foot in front of the other is essential for maintaining our arrestment. Others may idle in a retrogressive groove without too much danger, but retrogression can spell death for us. However, this isn't as rough as it sounds, as we do become grateful for the necessity that makes us toe the line, and we find that we are compensated for the consistent effort by the countless dividends we receive. Yes. A complete change takes place in our approach to life. Where we used to run from responsibility, we find ourselves accepting it with gratitude that we can successfully shoulder it. Instead of wanting to escape some perplexing problem, we experience the thrill of challenge and the opportunity it affords for another application of AA techniques, and we find ourselves tackling it with surprising vigor. The last 8 years of my life have been rich and meaningful. I've had my share of problems, heartaches, and disappointments, because that is life. But I also have known a great deal of joy and a peace that is handmaiden of an inner freedom. I have a wealth of friends, and with my AA friends, an unusual quality of fellowship. For to these people I am truly related, first through mutual pain and despair, and later through mutual objectives and newfound faith and hope. And as the years go by, working together, sharing our experiences with one another, and also sharing mutual trust, understanding, and love, without strings, without obligation, we acquire relationships that are unique and priceless. There is no more aloneness with that awful ache so deep in the heart of every alcoholic that nothing before could ever reach it. That ache is gone and never need return again. Now there is a sense of belonging, of being wanted and needed and loved. In return for a bottle and a hangover, we have been given the keys of the kingdom. I'm going to close a little bit early here today. I'd like to close today with a loving kindness meditation that my friend and fellow coworker Kathleen gave me. I say it when I'm having a hard time. I say it to bless people's coins. I say it to bless people. And I'd like to share it with all of you today. May we be happy and peaceful. May we be safe and protected. May we be healthy and strong. May we live with ease and well-being. May we love ourselves just as we are. Namaste.